Hey guys, Divergence and Typicals. I want to share with you today my thoughts on depression. And I figured most people don't really understand depression very well. And I'm including here psychologists and psychiatrists as well. What most people think about depression, that it has to do with serotonin, the main mood regulator. But it's much more complex. That's why I'm saying science doesn't really understand it very well. And it doesn't really understand very well most of the psychological conditions. So usually what's prescribed for depression is SSRIs, serotonin reuptake inhibitors, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And that's why most people, I think, have the opinion that depression is mostly related to serotonin. Like you waste a lot of serotonin, that's why you're low on serotonin. However, that's not the complete picture. Depression is a spectrum of sensations, and only one of them has to do with mood, and another one has to do with lack of motivation and apathy. And think about that. What is this? This is dopamine. This is not serotonin. So when you're low on dopamine, you lack motivation to do anything. You can hardly get out of bed. So except for serotonin, it also has to do with dopamine. So that's one thing. Then another thing is that it also has to do with GABA, because you might feel restless, you might feel you wouldn't feel calm at all. So that means that GABA is also not doing its function. And when you think about it, as I talked before, GABA is a mediator neuron, so it stands between dopamine neurons and serotonin neurons. So if you're kind of low on them or wasting them too fast, it's gonna try to mediate this process, and it's also gonna become low. So then what you might not expect is involved. Also endorphins are involved, because when you think about it, a lot of emotional pain that you experience during depression, it can be also battled with endorphins. So what can you do about it if you're in a depressive episode? Well, first and foremost, try to go out and do stuff. That's gonna increase your dopamine. And don't go for cheap dopamine, like don't play video games, don't go on social media, don't binge watch movies or series, just don't do that. Go and do some stuff outside. And then we go to the next thing. Go in the sun, because this is gonna naturally produce serotonin. So there you can get 2 out of 4 things: serotonin and dopamine. And then another thing is physical exercise, because physical exercise is going to produce endorphins, and it's going to produce glutamate, some of which later is going to turn into GABA. So you're gonna feel more relaxed, you're gonna have more motivation, your mood is gonna be better, and overall you're gonna get out of this freaking depression much faster. I'm not saying it's easy to do it, but it's much easier if you follow these steps and just be consistent. It's not gonna pass for a day or two, you might need a week, but doesn't matter the case. This is much better than taking SSRIs. And to be honest, like in the beginning, a few decades ago, when SSRIs were invented, they were meant to be taken for very, very serious depressive episodes, and they were meant to be taken for, I think, up to 3 months, not more. And you know, nowadays people can take them for years and they don't really help them. They kind of make you like a vegetable. Like, I have a few close people who took SSRIs for long periods of time, and man, you can talk shit to them and they wouldn't react. They would just be, oh yeah, it's very fine. They would be like a vegetable. There is like a single emotion in them, and they don't experience the full spectrum of sadness, of joy, of anger, of nothing. They're just like a vegetable. So don't get hooked on SSRIs. That's my advice. Just try to get out of depression the natural way, and I think you can even figure it faster than any SSRI would do it. And also, I want to talk a bit about the levels of consciousness by David Hawkins. You might want to look that up after the video if you haven't seen it. So there you have a scale of emotions from the lowest state possible going to higher and higher, and depression is usually the lowest possible emotions of all. That's like shame, guilt, apathy, grief, and anxiety, as strange as it is a higher level emotion than any of the lower emotions related to depression. So anxiety comes after depression. Anxiety comes after depression, and I'm going to talk about anxiety in a later video. But as a general rule, just take it like this: depression would most probably end in anxiety. You're gonna experience a flood of anxiety about what to do now. So you're out of your depression, what to do now? And then next, anger is gonna come. But I'm gonna talk about this later. So from now, just what you can take is go outside, do stuff, try to meet people as hard as it is, try to talk it out with somebody, and try to do physical activity. One more thing before I end this video: try to be in nature as much as possible. Try to be in nature at least one time a week. And I have a friend who is a speech expert in the States, and she told me that some schools there, they have this new method of getting kids with ADHD and autism to focus and be more calm in class. And how do they do it? They enable them to study outside and to step on grass. So that immediately makes them calmer, and that creates a lot more focus. So that also has to do with anxiety and depression that a lot of us neurodivergents experience. So yeah, just try to be outside as much as possible. Don't close in yourself. Try to exercise as much as possible, and you're going to generate the biochemistry needed to go out of this freaking depression. Well, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for listening to me, and peace be with you.